Rochester helicopter, Golf Bravo Hotel with 3 on board, 100. At the moment, visual with Charlie Delta, we're ready for departure. Low level to the west, preferred, Golf Hotel.
Rochester Airfield's been here for many years, and it was an old wartime airfield. We used to build aeroplanes here, Sterling bombers. Since that time, obviously, it's been decommissioned. It used to belong to British Aerospace, and now it's been leased to us by the council. We've got approximately 80 aircraft here, mostly fixed wing, a couple of helicopters and some microlights. And the business is servicing those aircraft, serve them with fuel. We've got airwork services. We've actually fixed them as well. We try and offer an all-round service to the aircraft.
There we go. My pride and joy. I first flew when I was 11 with a friend's father who'd got a private pilot's licence. He'd learnt on this sort of aeroplane as well. Then he went on to 3-seaters that were based here. And he took me up and I was hooked. And that really was a burning ambition from then on. And I went on to, well, dream basically till I was about 19 when I was working in the building industry as an assistant buyer. And I remember my boss then called me in and told me he was giving me a raise, I think, from £1,400 a year to £1,800 a year, which sounds laughable now. And I thought, yippee, I can afford to learn to fly. So I went off and learned to fly. Still very marginal though, because I was so poor, it took me nearly 2 years.
I've been flying about 10 years now. And well, it started because I wanted to fly. I needed another challenge in life. Well, as far as I'm concerned, it's an achievement. It gives you a freedom that you won't get anywhere else. And we also set out to do it for commercial reasons as well as a challenge. And thus the helicopter that we own is used for public transport, and it's a commercial company, apart from being flown for pleasure.
Something I've always wanted to do since I've been a kid. It's just been a fascination to me, and as soon as I went up, I had a trial flight when I was 14 and I just fell in love with it, the freedom of it all, and just knew that's what I had to do, really.
I love machinery, I love the aeroplanes, and they're almost alive. They've a lot in common with motorbikes. They're living bits of machinery, really, once you get to know them. Each one is different. They tend to have interesting histories.
Always wanted to fly helicopters, really. More of a challenge and more fun, more interesting. But they're a lot more expensive, so it took me a while to save up and manage to convince a bank to lend me the money to get into it. So just about a year I've been flying helicopters, really. As part of my hour building, after the private licence, you have to build so many hours before you can go on to do the commercial. And I thought, I want to do something different with that rather than just flying around locally. So I approached my flying instructor and we set about trying to find a world record that we could either beat or set. So we finally came up with the most airfields landed at in a 24-hour period, which we, after about 4 months planning, we managed to do in June this year. And we landed at 102 different airports in daylight hours, which was quite incredible, but fantastic fun. Really good achievement and a great experience. Learnt an awful lot.
And I just love the romance of flying, and when you think even now in late 2002, it's still under 100 years since man last flew or first flew in a powered aeroplane. So December the 17th, 2003, which will be the 100th anniversary of man-powered flight, is going to be some date. Incidentally, it will also be my 50th birthday, which I think, I regard as greatly significant. So my intention on December the 17th, 2003 is to celebrate the 100th anniversary of man-powered flight in this little aeroplane.
We also have Maps here, who's a preservation society. They rebuild old aircraft, Spitfires. I know they've had a Spitfire in there, and at the moment they've got an old Sea King helicopter in there. They're all volunteers. They love aircraft. They love rebuilding aircraft, and it's very much a dying trade what they're doing. So it's very nice to see them here.
Somehow we don't really want to take it off because we can't get the bloody nuts. So I don't quite sure how to do that. It keeps you young for a start, and it's a good laugh, and the language is pretty bad, but they're nice. They get on quite well together. But I fitted in quite well. That's how friendly they are. I mean, 6 months, and I feel as though perhaps I've been here years. Yeah. No.
I mean, all of us have got engineering experience of various sorts. I mean, some have worked in the aviation industry for many years, others have worked, in other fields, but you've still got the engineering experience, so you know what a spanner is and a screwdriver, and you've got the sort of common sense, if you like, to do the job.
So I don't quite sure how to do that.
No, it's totally voluntary. Totally voluntary. I mean, we belong to the Aviation Society, Aeronautical Society rather. But oh no, it's totally voluntary, and we get a free cup of coffee now and again. That's about the limit of our.
No, it's really good. I think some of them live for this place. Yeah. I certainly have had a new lease of licence. I've been coming up here because there's only so much you can do in the garden, and there's only so many model aeroplanes you can build, and there's only so many country pubs you can visit. So this is another diversion. It's twice a week. Sometimes you take a bit of work home if you need to.
At the moment, Medway Council, who are the landlords, they want to build on this site. They want to build what they call a science park. And as it's a brownfield site, it's a lot easier to build on. It's not greenbelt land. So we're very much under threat of closure. Our lease expires in 2004, January. We are fighting the closure, but it remains to be seen what's going to happen. But if it does close, all these aircraft will disappear, and the airport will never be able to exist again. Because there's not enough land in Kent to build another airport.
British aviation started in the Medway towns, literally in 1904, with the Wright brothers flying their aircraft here, and it's been developed. And this airfield, as Doug said, was created in the early 30s. We've built bombers here, we've flown fighter planes here during the Second World War. It'll be an absolute travesty if the government want to bulldoze it and put an industrial estate here.
No, I don't know. I think I should be very sad because I've been coming up here since I was about 9 years old. And I used to sit on the shelter. There was a shelter, which was a gatehouse type shelter. Obviously, it was built as a shelter because of the air raids. It was a gatehouse. When I was about 8 or 9 years old, I used to sit on there all day. We'd take a bottle of water, sit on there and watch the RF in action.
I mean, the main problem I've got with this, and this is irrespective of whether this is an airfield, playing fields, tennis courts, whatever you like, this area belongs to the Medway towns and the people who live here. Now, when the council first decided in their infinite wisdom they wanted to develop this and to build on Rochester Airfield, they organised an opinion poll which canvassed everybody in the Medway towns, and many thousands of people voted. And as far as I know, approximately 96% of people polled voted against any development on Rochester Airfield. And that was taken into account of what the council had in mind to do there. So given the argument that the council wanted to build commercial properties on this airfield and houses, and it's worth about, I believe, about £16 million, the public were made aware of this and they voted almost unanimously. 96% is a huge percentage against any development on Rochester Airfield, i.e. they wanted to keep it as it is. You know, so that is very important. The council, it appears, and bearing in mind that councillors are elected officials, elected by the very people they polled to act in their best interests. So these elected officials, having set out an opinion poll themselves and received 96% vote against what they want to do, they are now planning on going totally against public opinion and developing this airfield. That is what they want to do, which in my view is not only undemocratic, it smells of skullduggery and, dare I say, corruption.
If they close the airfield, I would consider leaving the area because I live only half a mile from my aeroplane. It gives me this tremendous freedom to travel distance greatly. And the area is already very, very congested, and further building on this greenfield space, which creates virtually no environmental damage compared to what would go here, the heavy industry or light industry. Retail, it would effectively be retail park and modern housing, very high density housing. And I don't think the area needs that. I think the area can stand having an open space used for the sort of use that the airfield provides at the moment.